Are we live? Someone give us a thumbs up if you can hear good audio. Facebook, you there? It looks like we're live there as well. So if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up as well, if you can hear the audio, that'd be great. Sorry, we're just adjusting things last second because we're trying to do both at the same time. Okay, good. It looks like someone joined. We apologize, we're a few minutes late. Technical difficulties as always. And sorry, I'll try and jump back and forth between the two cameras. Just want to make sure all of our friends online can catch us no matter what platform you prefer. So let's go ahead and get started. I am Megan. I am the blogger over at Allergy, Awesomeness. And this is...
My name is Claudia and I'm Megan's husband.
True story. I love to have him on because we feel like with Allergy Life, it definitely takes two parents being together because there's just so much to handle, and he brings a unique perspective as far as the dad and just his different background. So thanks for the thumbs up, and let's go ahead and get started. We feel free throughout to comment and to offer questions, and we also got some questions submitted ahead of time, so we'll go ahead and start with those. And then hi Mark Henry, thanks for the thumbs up. Heather Brown, sorry I might be pronouncing these wrong, but feel free to jump in with questions that you may have. So I think the first one that was super interesting and I thought was a really good question about food allergies and food allergy life is, how involved is your husband, and does he stay as up to date with research, especially in regards to different food brands and eating? So I guess I'll give my take on how involved I think he is. We might have different answers and then he can share his perspective. Does that sound good?
That's fine.
Okay. So I would say that he does a really good job of staying as involved as he can, barring he's out of the home a lot. So because I work from home and because I am the one attending the doctor's appointments and I choose to go to like local conferences, I am the one that's in all the like Facebook groups and chat groups, and I've got all the allergy mom friends. I don't know, do you have any allergy friends in the community?
I have coworkers and people that I know that have food allergies.
That's true. He has a few. But I feel like I am very dialed in, also because of blogging about food allergies. So I would say that I am probably a little more involved and up to date than he is. I enjoy reading articles. I enjoy staying up to date. But I do feel like I try and share as much as I can with you. Like food allergies takes a lot of our conversation. So I'm constantly sharing with him, did you know this, or the allergist said this, or this is the new recommendation, or did you hear about the LEAP study, and what do you think about giving peanuts to our baby sooner? So I try and involve him so that way he might not know every detail or the reason why, but I think I try and share and have every decision be jointly. That way we can be sure that he's not like, wait, what? You gave our baby peanuts? Or whatever is going on. It's always a joint decision, so that way if something was to happen, we can feel like it's not someone's fault, that we both agreed on it and we proceeded forward. So that way, I also do that for peace of mind for him. I want when he's out of the home that he can feel safe and feel like, oh, I understand what's going on, that I'm not doing something he would disagree with. So, yes, I feel like the facts and the tidbits and the being plugged into the community, I do more of, but I do think he does a good job of trying to understand, and I think it's my responsibility to share, and it's his responsibility to ask questions and to want to be involved. And it's kind of a joint partnership. What would you say?
I think Megan's correct. I'm not part of any Facebook groups or follow anyone on social media as far as food allergies. But as far as our kids, I've been there for a lot of their initial doctor's appointments. Like, I know who their doctors are. I've met them. I've been there for a lot of the educational discussions and instructions. Yeah,
can I jump in with that? And I felt very comfortable if I've been sick or I had to go to work, because I used to work out of the home more, that I would feel fine sending him to the doctor's office. And I liked that. I liked that they would know him and the allergist could get to know both of us and he could see what I'm talking about. So I know there's some moms that like only want that responsibility, but I feel comfortable sharing that with him, and I like doing that when I can.
Yeah, so I've been there for doctor's appointments. Megan, if there's anything that I need to be updated about, Megan's always educating me or updating me on what's going on, any changes that need to be made. any ideas or things that she wants to try, whether it's patch testing or whatever we discuss. So I feel like I know what's going on. When the kids are here with me, I know what to feed them, when not to feed them. We follow the same protocol as if Megan was here. So
that said, that brings up a good point, though. I think what they might have meant. So chime in if this was your question. I'm sorry, I don't remember who asked it. As far as like brands, I think you know how to read a label.
No.
But I obviously, because I know in that grocery shops, I probably know off the top of my head that I'm like, oh, we get Enjoy Life for this, or we get Earth Balance for this, or like he might not know off the top of his head, but I know if he had to go grocery shopping, he could. I think I might have it memorized a little bit easier as far as like, oh, he can't have this, this, or this, because our oldest son has over 30 food restrictions. I think there might be a few you might be a little foggy about, some of them that we don't do as much that aren't like the obvious anaphylactic ones.
Yeah.
But
we have a list on the fridge.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about last week. Megan's, sends an email to everyone within our inner circle. So I have, the PDF or the spreadsheet of our son's allergies and what he can have and what's been updated and what's not. We've had discussions that just in case one of us were to pass away, like we have that information
readily available. And like you can go to my blog even like on across the top it says allergies, and I like to keep that there even for me, for like if we get a new teacher, a new soccer coach, I can just copy and paste or send them that direct link, and it's an easy way for us to access like what all the allergies are. But yeah, and there are things that like I try and buy that I know won't be a confusion. Like I used to buy like one type of spreadable butter and another, then like the Earth Balance spreadable butter, if any of you are familiar with them, and they looked very similar, both the same size, yellow tubs, and I think it was easy if you're in a rush to get confused. And there was one time where I wasn't home and Claudia was making toast and he spread the wrong butter on. So anyway, so I, being the gatekeeper and the one that does the groceries, I do feel that responsibility to make sure that there are easy, safe options. We no longer do that. We learned our lesson that way. Mm-hmm. So if there are things that aren't easily marked, like soy milk looks very different than cow's milk. There's a carton, it's purple, there's the jug, things that are very distinguishable, then I try and make it easy so that if, whether it's Claudia or a babysitter or family in town, they can easily find what they need without possible accidental exposure. So, anyone else have questions? If not, we'll move on to the next one. I just want to make sure that if you're taking time to join now, that we can answer it. Looks like we have a reader that says she has an almost 5-year-old girl who has EOE and multiple food allergies. Hi, Kylie. Am I saying that right? Awesome. Yes, we totally understand that life with multiple food allergies and EOE in one child. So, and they're around the same age. So, I always think, too bad we don't live closer, that we can do like a play date or something, right? Because it's nice to have friends where they feel like they're understood. That would be handy. Someday we'll have to do a big allergy meetup. That would be fun. People who all understand what allergy life is all about. Yeah. So the next question that we got was, I told Claudia, I'm nervous about this question because I feel like it's an allergy landmine. And so I guess I just want to preface it because I am nervous. I already read that one. Sorry. Yeah. I'm nervous. So I want to preface it with every food allergy family is different, what works for them. And, okay. Sounds like me and my husband. I see how he works. Yep. Exactly, Kylie. Yep, I think we're very similar. So, every allergy family does stuff differently. And we are on here not to say that this is the right way or the wrong way. We just want to have an open community for others dealing with food allergies because it can often feel lonely if your family and friends don't. And share what works for us in case it gives you an idea of, oh, I don't want to do that or I do want to do that. So that being said, the question that was asked was, do you guys keep allergens in the home? And I know this is a very polarizing topic. I know a lot of families that just absolutely do not. They don't want to risk it. They don't want it in their home. They don't want it being found. They don't want it being touched. They don't want it on their dishes. And I 100% get that. And there's nothing wrong with that approach. at all. That being said, because our son has 10 anaphylactic allergies, and then 20 additional, a little more than 20, foods we restrict because of EOE, that just didn't feel, sorry, we've got our middle child in the living room making noise. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know what he's doing. Hopefully it will not be burnt to the ground when we are done. But we just didn't feel like that was feasible, especially once we had our second child, because he is allergic to just peanuts and a few tree nuts. So it was a big, scary decision. Like, I definitely want to validate that. Like, it is something we had to think over. We talked to our allergist. We prayed about. We put a lot of thought and effort into it because it is scary. It is scary to have that in your home. Here were the pros that we felt like kind of made it worth it. So, first of all, for nutrition for our second, we felt like eggs, dairy, wheat, I mean, all those are staples, especially to the American diet. And while we feel like our oldest has a good diet, and I work very hard to make sure, we wanted him to be able to have like those easy protein-filled breakfasts and things like that. The second reason, feel free to jump in, is because we wanted our first, and I know people disagree about this, we wanted our first to always have that sense of asking, whether it was in the home or out of the home. Is this safe? And always being careful. Because I feel like, let's say that you only bring in safe food. Well, products can change, labels can change, and we want him in the habit of always thinking, can I have this? Should I check? Let me check. And we get told all the time, oh my goodness, your son is so responsible for his age. He's always asking, is this safe? He's always bringing it to an adult to read. So I feel like that's going to help foster it because he's always practicing at home and he's learning to always have his guard up. We also figured someday he's probably going to live in college with roommates that may have unsafe food, and we just wanted to start fostering that approach now, and also for him to not feel like entitled, like I always need to check. And I also, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
Well,
I feel like I'm rambling.
I just want to say, so yes, we have allergens in our home. And with Carter, like Megan mentioned, we tried to be as responsible as we could, as far as like we had it specifically in an area where we knew where it was and where it was out of reach.
Except for things like milk that's in the fridge.
Except for in the fridge. But of course, you know, at a certain time he was not able to open the fridge. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't a concern. And so as he's gotten older, as Megan mentioned, like we've educated him and we've trained him, you know, he has to ask. Mm-hmm. Especially as he's gotten able to reach things and go into the fridge or reach whatever cupboard we might put it in, or the pantry. And so he's grown with that, of that understanding. Like she mentioned, now we have 3 kids. Our second child doesn't have as much allergies, and he's way more boundary pushing. He's the type that's going to run downstairs, go climb on the chair, go into the cupboard. Carter wasn't like that. So we had to make changes as far as that and adjusting that. And so we adjust, we do what we can to make it, to be as responsible as we can, knowing that certain things can harm our children, as well as educate them constantly.
Yes.
You know, whether it's outcomes, consequences, whatever, like teaching them like this is very serious. These are things you can't be doing. You can't just go and grab food when you want. You need to ask us at all times. It doesn't matter if you've had it all the time, if you think you've had it before. And so they've been trained.
Yeah, they don't just go help themselves.
That they
rarely, maybe to applesauce.
Yeah.
But
that they need to ask.
They always ask.
So.
And I think that you brought up a very good point that reminded me. Yay, Kylie says she keeps allergens in her home. Thank you. Glad we're not the only one. Same with Allison. Is we have, like, I have a protocol for how we do it, okay? So, like, at our table, everyone always sits in the same spot. We don't switch chairs. So my son's spot, and he's got a whole side to himself at the table. No one sits there. So that way, if my son has graham crackers or a piece of cheese, it's not ever going to be touching his area. And then we also, every time one of our children has an allergen, he has to wash his hands, soap and water. Don't touch anything. He can't go play. He can't touch toys. And he knows I go over, I wash up. And then, you know, I'm always, and it's extra work. It is. And I get that if people don't want to do that, that's totally fine. bleach wiping everything, soap and watering everything. My hands are often dry because I'll make his food, wash my hands very good before I do the other ones. In fact, I usually make my our most allergic son's food first. And then, you've got double the dishes, because if you cut cheese with one knife, you got to put it in the sink and use a fresh knife for the other son's sandwich, and so on and so forth. So I get that there is extra work, but I think another reason why we wanted to do that was with him going to school and starting to be over at people's houses, play dates without me. When they're young, we usually do like mom meetups and everyone's together. Is people were starting to ask us like, we have peanut butter in our home. Is he okay to come play in our house? Like, is his allergy airborne? If he touches a chair that's had peanut butter in it, is he going to be okay? And so we wanted to know, I don't know about your allergies, but unless there's a borderline, you're not sure if there's an allergy because of a possible false positive or negative, you'll do an oral challenge at the hospital with your allergist, which we've done. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, you really, prick tests and blood work, they do not tell the severity. You can have a small number and still have a super high anaphylactic reaction or vice versa. So I'm sure as parents, it's frustrating, right? You're like, okay, does that mean if they have cross-contaminated, they're going to have anaphylaxis? Or is it going to take a whole bite? Is it going to take ingesting it? And so we wanted to try that in a safe environment, So we tried, if I eat peanut butter toast at the table with my son at the same table, is he going to be okay? Because we knew what to do. We know how to assess if his reaction is bad, if he needs to go to the ER, versus it happening at someone else's home. Because I promise, even if people say they're careful or they won't ever do that, they may forget. And I wanted to see how he would react. So for school, if he's at the same table as someone, is he going to be okay? And thankfully, he is not airborne reactive. We haven't ever had him touch on purpose, but we assume he's not contact reactive because of the fact that we're sure at some point we have not sanitized some inch of something, or there's been a toy shared with a sibling. So I feel confident and safer letting him go places and be like, please do not serve peanuts while he's there. And as long as you've washed your table and you wash your utensils and plates and everything, then I feel comfortable with him being at your house. So that was kind of an obstacle we wanted to assess on our own and in the confines of our own house, where we could control the experiment and have different controls and see how he would do. So that was, again, another reason why we chose to keep allergens in the home. And now we have our third, and the LEAP study has come out since. For those of you who aren't familiar with the LEAP study, do you want to break it down?
No, you go first.
Okay. It basically says that they found that children who are prone to allergies, who are exposed to the allergen earlier, may have a lot smaller chance of having the allergy later on. So we've been introducing, way younger than we ever did, allergens to our 6-month-old, 7-month-old, and so we've definitely had allergens in the house for that as well. So we've just kind of learned, and we're growing as we experiment and he gets older. I do want to say the caveat that I think it is up to different children's personalities. Like he said, our oldest, he has experienced anaphylaxis and he has had that scare, so he remembers. We are honest with him. We don't try and scare tactic him, but we will be like, hey, if you eat that, you're going to have an EpiPen shot in your leg, and you're going to have to go to the hospital where there may be more shots. You may have to have an IV. You may have to have oxygen. And so he's like, yeah, I don't want to risk that. Our second, he's giving us a run for our money. He will go. He wants to sneak food.
He thinks the hospital is a playground.
Yeah, he's like, they have TV. You need to sit on a bed, and we're like, no. Yeah. So I think you have to keep in mind your own unique situations, right? Their personalities and so on. And that's the best you can do. But I feel for you, and good luck. And I do believe in inspiration. I do believe in mommy intuition, and make it a joint decision. Pray about it, and I think you will be able to figure out what works best for you.
The other thing is, as you know, Megan has her blog, which has a lot of the recipes that she cooks, and so dinner time is allergen free. Everyone, me, Megan, all of our kids, we eat the same food, and that's really helped as well to limit having to make separate meals that one may require dairy milk versus rice milk. Everything is the same, and they all taste good, so it's never been an issue or a problem. But that's helped as far as limiting the exposure to allergens and the confusion and things like that. So
yeah.
If you want meals and ideas, you can go to her blog. And they're good. I've tasted them. I'm still alive.
Yeah, the poor guy, he's been through, you only get the good ones on the blog. He's had to live through the different iterations of...
Yeah. I've been the guinea pig.
Yes.
But they're good. And so if you are looking for ways that you can feed your whole family and limit the exposure to allergens, you can go to her blog.
Yeah.
She's got some recipes.
And I think that also brings up a good point. So we will do different ones for like breakfast and lunch, especially now that our older is in school. So I feel even safer having things at lunchtime for our older or our middle child that our older couldn't have. But I try to always only buy something different if my oldest son can have an equal substitute. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to buy my youngest a donut and then my older son cannot have that, because I feel like at that young of an age, it feels very unfair, and that feels very like he's picked on, even though he's going to experience that outside the home, right? Like, that's going to happen. But I would like to limit that. So if I get my older son cow's milk yogurt, I make sure to have a Silk or a So Delicious yogurt. So we're all having yogurt, we just have a special yogurt for Carter, and that's what we call it. It's a special food to help him feel good about it, own it a little bit. And same thing, like, we buy his safe pizza, or we'll buy his bread and then our bread. So it's always the same across the board. And I do limit my other children's treats. Like, I try and have them all have the same treat, so that way they don't feel bad. Like, we have a big treat bucket, and we have Smarties and Dum Dums and Skittles, because A, kids don't need that much sugar, and B, there's plenty of top 8 free candies if you need a list. I have search what in the world do you feed your kids candy, and that has a list of like a ton of good allergy friendly candy. So there's plenty of options, and we make sure that way that he's not like, well, he gets, I don't know, some big chocolate bar and I'm just stuck with this Smartie. That way it's very across the board. We do try and equalize as much as we can. So if that makes sense. And one reader saying, yeah, it's so funny how different they can be. Some of them sure like to test the limits. Yes, yep. Don't we know it?
That's our second one.
Yeah, that's parent life. I think regardless if you have food allergies or not, that's just hashtag parent life, right? Yeah, pretty much. I'm sorry, I don't have a clock by me. Can someone let me know what time it is? We have to get off to pick up the son from school and other things, so for some reason when you do a live, it does not put a time on it. So I could keep talking all day, but someone stop me.
Is there another question?
Someone text in. I think the other question was, someone was asking, thank you, Whitney, 1226. Okay, we will take one more question, so type it now. If not, I have one from a previous reader. Thank you, Kylie, 1:30. Yeah, we're Mountain Time. Thank you. It's okay, Central Time. Okay, so the last question that I think we get a lot is, has your son outgrown allergies? So this is tough, because with doing lives, we want to do them every week. That way, if you don't have a chance to join in, you can do it the next week. So I apologize if sometimes we answer the same questions more than once, but we just want to make sure that if there are new people here, that they get the chance to have their question answered. We'll try to minimize it, but one question that did pop up was, has your son outgrown his allergies? Do you want to explain that?
So there's some allergies he's outgrown. I think, as we mentioned before, at one time he was sensitive to pork, and I always get confused. Turkey or chicken?
Yeah, turkey.
Turkey. And now he can have those. Bananas.
Peas.
Peas
was a big one. I don't know if you guys had to look at peas for a label, because it's an odd one.
Soy.
That is in lots of stuff, pea protein.
So, yeah. So he had ones that he was allergic to. They weren't anaphylactic, but he was allergic.
EOE.
They were EOE.
Meaning he failed it when we did the patch testing or oral challenge.
Yeah. So we let time elapse, and then we retested him, and he passed it. So we've been feeding him those things, and he's been fine.
Yeah. But unfortunately, he has not outgrown any of his anaphylactic ones. So still crossing our fingers. I often get asked, and I would love for you guys to comment. Sorry, this will be our last thing. Sometimes you like to live in fantasy land, right? And just think, if I could pick one food that he could outgrow, what would it be? Okay, I'm gonna say 2. So I'd love for you guys to all comment, right? Like someday they find a cure and they can cure you for one thing. It would be a toss-up. It would be eggs or oatmeal. Because eggs would make baked goods so much easier. Because you can often find gluten-free and dairy-free things now, I feel like. But gluten-free and egg-free is like, forget it. I have yet to find a store-bought bakery other than like Enjoy Life Foods. But like a fresh bakery, you know. And then oatmeal. Because oatmeal is such a good grain. You can use it in cookies. You can use it in bars. You can use it for breakfast. And again, oatmeal is... Raise your hand if anyone has an oatmeal allergy. I feel like that is not as familiar either. But... wow, the things I could do with oatmeal, you guys, it would be so good. So, one can always hope, right? Anyways, okay, we're going to close for now. Thank you guys for joining. If you have any allergy parents or friends that might feel alone or just want to be able to bounce ideas off of each other, join us. We're going to do this every Friday. Yours would be dairy. Oh, girlfriend, I know dairy's in everything. And it's so hard because I feel like people don't understand a dairy allergy. They think it's just milk, not cottage cheese and cream cheese and butter and ice cream and all the variations. Oh, I know. So you guys join us and feel free to like chat amongst yourselves. I've joined other lives and it's so nice that you guys can answer or talk amongst yourselves. Let's build a nice community because it's so nice to feel like you're not alone. So how old is she? Stephanie, if you're asking me, we only have one girl. He. They are elementary age. We don't like to give our children's ages. I guess you guys all know my baby's age because I announced when she was born, but just to give them a little bit more privacy. But he's young elementary age. So anyways, see, we can keep talking forever. We're going to cut it off next Friday, noon Mountain Time. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your dog, tell everyone, and let's have this be a fun experience for us all. So, goodbye. See you until next week.